This is Become Rich Project, day number 31, diary entry number 15. First port of call is to check on current investments. Under portfolio, it looks like the unsettled funds, it's still there, and hopefully when New York opens, that gets released completely. Although it is saying that funds to trade is now there, so technically I can start purchasing more shares again. Children's Place Inc., Ecolab Inc., NetApp Inc. are the current trades I've got. I put a sell order for Children's Place Inc. at $95. If I look at the workbook, we can see here that if it does sell at $95, that would be a 3% margin. That's good enough for the time being. Although I might place another buy order for $92 just in case. Before ex-dividend date of 20th of September. You will notice there that I've replaced the fifth company I'm eyeing. It's now Gentex Corp. That's because the reviews currently are fairly good when it comes to Gentex Corp, and their ex-dividend date is not until the 8th of October. So that gives me a bit of time to suss out the company before investing and purchasing shares. On ASX, I've still got Midway Limited and also Telstra Corporation. That's not going to change anytime soon. However, I did find an ASX listed company that's something to watch out for. I'll get to that in a bit. But for now, checking on the health of investments in Nasdaq and NYNC. First up, Ecolab. It has 12 ratings, 2 buy, 6 hold, 4 sell. The reason why some would like to sell it is because the ex-dividend date is today. It's likely that Ecolab market value would decrease today once the market opens. However, personally, I am looking at Ecolab in a longer term, so despite the known decrease in value, I'll be holding on to those shares. The research team's rating was correct 100% of the time, and the majority is saying 6 hold, so I'm in line with professionals on this one. Children's Place Inc., 1 buy, 7 hold, 2 sell. Research team's rating was correct 79.7% of the time. I believe today that it will increase to $95 while the market is open, so that's where I'm selling at. The ex-dividend date of Children's Place Inc. is 20th of September. 20th of September is this Friday, so it's likely that it would potentially increase by a little bit before decreasing on ex-dividend date. That's why I'm selling those shares before the ex-dividend date. NetApp Inc., we can see here 12 ratings provided, 6 buy, 6 hold, 0 sell. Research team's rating was correct 57% of the time and incorrect 43% of the time. From my own research, I'm also into the buying side of things, and they've been upgraded. I'm trusting these ratings and holding on to my shares. My forecast prediction is about $60 in the not too distant future for short-term trading, but the likelihood of NetApp Inc. increasing to $80 in value is quite high in probably a year or two from now. $60 is definitely before the end of the year. Now, Gentex Corp. As you can see here, 6 buy, 5 hold, 0 sell, and research team's rating was correct 98.2% of the time and incorrect only 1.8% of the time. I haven't yet purchased Gentex Corp shares. However, I'm likely to purchase some in the not too distant future, most likely sometime this week. I trust these ratings, so I've placed Gentex Corp under my watch list, see how they perform for the night or the day if you're in New York, and by midweek I'd be able to complete my research for the company in itself and then perhaps purchase some shares. Gentex Corp ex-dividend date is 8th of October, so the likelihood of its company value will increase over time just before that date. That's why I've got a strong feeling about Gentex Corp. In Australian news, I came across this article and I thought it was quite interesting. Bellamy's to be bought out by Chinese dairy company for $1.5 billion. Now, Bellamy is a publicly listed company on ASX. Looking at their shares, we can see here that they were trading at $8.34, and just before the news broke out, they're trading at $12.94. Now currently sitting at $12.89. That's a big increase in value because of that buyout. Looking further into the news, we know here in Australia that Chinese loves Australian dairy products, especially infant formula. We know of that because of news such as when the Chinese Navy was here, those Navy officers were purchasing infant formulas. So it's big business in China. I know that there are 3 Australian companies trading on ASX that does infant formulas. One of them is A2 Milk Company Limited, currently trading at $13.60. Looking at the 1-year spread, it looks like it's gonna be the lowest that it can ever be at the moment. I don't think it would fall any further than $13.60 because of the company being highly valued overseas. So it's more than likely that Chinese companies would also be eyeing A2 Milk Company Limited, knowing that Chinese companies like purchasing and getting involved in Australian companies that has control over their supply chain, knowing that Bellamy's has control over their supply chain, as well as A2 Milk Company Limited, the only two companies that does infant formula which has control over their supply chains, it is highly likely that Chinese company would want to get into business with A2 Milk Company Limited. With that being said, I'm keeping an eye out on A2 Milk Company Limited, and I'd most likely be purchasing shares of A2 Milk Company Limited by the end of the week. Projection is for the long term. I've covered in my earlier diary entries that I use ASX as a means to keep for long-term trading. I do that because I treat ASX like bonds. 25% of my investments will go onto ASX. 75% will be on US stocks. And I think it'd be wise for me to get involved on infant formula, in particular with A2 Milk Company Limited. More on that later. Having a look at what professionals think of this company, we can see here that Goldman Sachs says buy. Target price $16.60. Again, even professionals doesn't know what the future holds. I need to always remember that professionals and their reviews are guides and should only be used as guides. I need to do my own research and make up my own mind in regards to the company I'd like to invest in. It is completely possible that Goldman Sachs have not considered Chinese companies buying into A2. Despite that, they are recommending to buy. The company value would increase more than $16.60 per share. I think it could increase up to $30, knowing how highly valued infant formula is as a commodity in Chinese society. We can see here that only in August did the company value decrease from about $17. Now roughly about mid-September, it is now valued at $13.60. In that time span, it decreased for a reason. So I'll be doing my research, and if I'm confident enough, then I'll be purchasing these shares knowingly that it will increase in somewhere above $16, at least in the short term, and then further increasing later on because of a potential buyer from a Chinese company. That's it for me for today. Let's have a look at a summary. Today I managed to put a sell order for Children's Place Inc. at $95 per share, also monitored current companies with investments, identified potential new investment on ASX, replaced Bank First Corp with Gentex Corp, and lesson of the day, use forecasts done by professionals as guide only. Know the company you're investing in and do your own research. Thanks for watching. Bye.